This place may look simple, its concept straightforward.
When you don't have border security, you're leaving yourself exposed.
This barrier running along America's southern border.
They can only touch the tips of their pinky fingers through a little square.
But the issues that come with this long stretch of metal are complicated and controversial. This week, we're talking about immigration. That's why we've come to the place that separates the U.S. and Mexico. We're looking at how the situation at the border is being handled.
Undoubtedly, there's a crisis.
It's a big topic for candidates and voters, and we're on the front line. Not to put you on one side or another, but to get past the noise and get to the heart of the issue. This is The Race. Welcome into The Race. I'm Chris Stewart. This week we are taking a look at a huge issue when you talk about the 2020 election, and that is immigration. We're here in California, right along the border with Mexico that you see right past this wall behind me here. And during this show, we're going to be taking a look at immigration numbers and going into communities where this issue is really hitting home. But first, we want to start with a perspective that you often don't really hear, that from the people who patrol this area every day. How often is he going to see somebody potentially today try and illegally cross?
He'll see people probably multiple times today try to come up this draw right here. Some of them will continue and we might apprehend them a little bit north. Some of them, if they see us moving in to arrest them, they'll run back south. And so that's a daily occurrence.
How does the new wall that's been put in this year, how does this compare to what was here before?
So what was here before on our primary, which is what you see here, you had a roughly 8 to 10 foot corrugated steel Vietnam era landing mat that was there. It was very easy to climb over. Now with this new system, it allows our agents and gives our agents more time because it's a much more significant challenge. This can't be scaled the way that the old primary fence could. Beginning in 2015, we started seeing a majority of our apprehensions consisted of people that were from countries other than Mexico. The processing of those people, and as far as a government-wide approach, is a much more significant challenge, and it's more there's more time involved.
Is calling this an immigration crisis, is that a fair way to say it? Because there's a debate over whether or not, I think a lot of people know if there is a crisis or not.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely, undoubtedly there's a crisis. When we see the large influx of people coming and crossing the border illegally, and as Border Patrol, we have no choice but to manage and try to deal with that, and we simply don't have and haven't had the resources to manage that sheer number of people. We're tasked with protecting the border and enforcing the immigration laws between the ports of entry, but then we have all these people now. We're supposed to house them, feed them, and kind of continue them down the chain, set them up for their cases and process them. When you don't have border security, you're leaving yourself exposed. You're open to anybody and anything that might want to enter the country, do you harm, do us harm. Putting something as the answer, that's not a realistic thing. I mean, they're going to face different challenges as time goes on, but this helps us on the front lines for Border Patrol agents in the work we do. This is huge. This is a game changer.
Now, groups all over the country are taking in undocumented immigrants, and Alicia Nieves talked to activists about why they do it.
At least 28 churches around the country have now opened their doors to people fearing sudden deportation and family separation. First Unitarian Church in Denver was one of the first.
We have received threats. We've received bomb threats, we've received personal threats.
The danger of protecting people evading immigration and customs enforcement has become so real that at this church and others, when a person is in sanctuary now,
We have people at the door almost 24 hours a day.
An entire network of people like Randy Chase.
So I come and push on the door, and I'm done with that door.
The 69-year-old on the surface seemed upbeat as he made his rounds, checking that all the church doors were locked.
And make sure it's latched.
It wasn't until he passed by this sign on one door, instructing him what to do should ICE come knocking, that the worry came to the surface.
And these instructions envision talking to officials and officers through the door, through this crack in the door, and passing papers back and forth through the door, which is sort of an unnatural way to talk.
Randy is friendly and polite. Should an ICE officer come to the door, he fears he might instinctively open it, and ICE would use that as an invitation to enter.
What is my response going to be?
Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers have come under scrutiny in the past for what some critics say are tricky tactics. Randy is concerned that could happen to Jeanette Vizquera, the woman he is trying to protect.
Soy activista por más de 25 años.
Vizquera has spent those 2.5 decades in the States unable to get citizenship. She currently has an order of stay that allows her to remain here, but is in sanctuary because she does not trust that ICE will adhere to that order in her case.
Hay como 10 personas alrededor del país que somos muy vocales, que somos target. A mí me monitorean mis redes sociales.
For now, the church is her safest place as she fights her immigration case and fights for her future.
Veo mi futuro seguir ayudando a la gente porque es mi naturaleza. Ese es mi reto, lograr soluciones al tema de inmigración.
For The Race, I'm Alicia Nieves.
And data from the Office of Immigration Statistics is showing the current state of immigration. It says 707,000 people became naturalized citizens during fiscal year 2017, and the U.S. welcomed more than 1.1 million new lawful permanent residents during the same stretch. The office also puts out facts about enforcement. It says that over the last 3 years, the Department of Homeland Security arrested fewer immigrants accused of breaking immigration laws. The OIS says those are the lowest levels since 1971. Pew Research says 10.5 million immigrants were in the country illegally in 2017. Recent ICE raids targeted them at their workplace, and Kai Beach went to Mississippi to take a look at the lasting impact of those raids.
The Deep South is at a major crossroads.
Well, yeah, they're taking jobs away from the legals.
This is central Mississippi, where recent immigration raids have divided communities emotionally and economically.
I could tell, you know, it's inhumane.
Shop owner Jose Martinez says his sales are down nearly 80% since ICE agents raided multiple food processing plants in the area. Almost 2 months later, many workers at those same plants are still on edge. It's a change in the culture here that's spreading into local schools.
You know, it's hard to really worry about math and science and English when you're worried about where your next meal comes from, or even if you'll be here, you know, a week from now.
Tony McGee, superintendent for the Scott County School District, says the day after the raids, 154 students were absent from school. Most have come back to class, but some of those children have been forced to leave the country.
You know, when we talk about going back, you know, a lot of these kids were born here. They've been here all their life, and this is really all they know. And so they're not really going back. They're really going for the first time.
With some of those kids' parents facing deportation or without jobs, the school is now giving an education in humanity.
We try to meet all needs of our kids.
Even the most basic needs, with people from across the country reaching out and donating everything from clothes to food.
And then there's items that are quick fixes for students. Easy Mac, of course. It can make a difference between going to bed hungry and going to bed with a full stomach.
Not everyone in this area of America shares the same kind of compassion.
Them coming over here and having children just because the children could be legal.
Back at Martinez's shop, he says staying in central Mississippi could cost his family their business, while leaving could cost him their culture.
Continue doing what we do, you know, just like hoping for the best.
With photojournalist Drew Snadicki, I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Much more to talk about this week on The Race from here in California, including families who go to great lengths to see their loved ones.
Felt like your heart bursting out of your chest. You know, like if you had just won $1 million, like you could walk on air.
Emotional moments from a place where families can come together when the race continues.